record.
Perfect.
Awesome. Natalie, we are
All
recording
right.
and I'm
Awesome.
going to turn it right over to you.
Okay, well, happy Monday, everyone. Whether you're joining us live, we're streaming it to Facebook. All this week, we will again be live at 1 o'clock every day. You're always welcome to join the Zoom calls. Otherwise, again, we're streaming it to our Epic 5 group. So, really, we're so excited to connect. This is our Epic Wellness Week. We wanted to have a more fun name than just January Detox. So, that's what we ended up with. And today we've got a special guest, one of our Epic clients, Melissa. So she's going to join in our conversation today. And really, today, our main topic of conversation is big why. So, not only considering our personal big why, but we'll also chat in with Dr. B2 about, why he created this program in the first place and why he included some things, also why he potentially excluded some things, and hopefully he'll have all those answers for us. No, I'm
Hopefully I'll
kidding.
have the answers. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Hopefully I'll have some answers for us.
No, I know you will. You'll be just fine. You're quick on your feet, so we'll be all right. But really, to dive in here, again, we're gonna chat, through kind of the Epic 5 plan. Eventually, we're gonna, pull up the shopping list up here and just kind of chat through some of those pieces. But first of all, I wanted to chat about, the personal big why. So it's so important with any kind of behavior, lifestyle change that we're making that we really, reflect within ourselves about why we want to do it. Why is this important to us? How does it align with our values and our beliefs, and again, just why do we want to do it? And so I wanted to chat with Melissa a little bit, as she's a few months, I believe, into the program. And Melissa, I'm curious, initially, as you filled out your big why, what was maybe kind of, or yeah, just kind of talk to me about your experience, initially digging into your big why of making some of these changes.
Yeah. I guess for my big why, initially, I just kind of thought I want to get healthy,
Mm-hmm.
which that's a good reason, I suppose.
Yep.
But kind of digging deeper into it and
Yeah.
thinking exactly why do I want to do this? Well,
Right.
I don't know exactly how to put into a sentence, but a couple
That's
things.
okay.
I wanted to be able to trust myself
Yeah.
with the decisions that I make in life and with food
Mm-hmm.
and with healthy choices. And so I just really want to be able to make a choice and just know that that's the best one for me. And
Yeah.
at the core of it, trust myself.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to take care of myself. So kind of like yours, Dr. Bradley. So moving forward, like down the future, I'm 40 now, and for 40 years I feel like people have been taking care of me.
Mm.
Other people I know they're there, and so I want to be able to take care of myself and give from
Yeah.
my overflow cup. And so I want to fill
Yes.
myself up with the healthy food, with all the right information, with books, you know just different things,
Yeah.
and with my goals, and then every day kind of show others this is how I learned to do it, this is how I
Mm-hmm.
do it, and maybe they could learn from me, and
Yeah.
kind of create
I love
awesome
that.
people in the world with my kids,
Yes.
create awesome environments where I walk in the room and you know i I have something to give, and I
Mm-hmm.
can listen to people, and even if they
Yeah.
don't say the same things that I think, we can have good conversations. I want to be that kind of
Yes.
person. Like we talked about before, personal reality and personality.
Yeah.
What is it in other people I see that's so cool, their personalities? And then what can I take
Mm-hmm.
from that to make myself have the best personal reality?
I
And
love
then
it.
as far as smart goals, I guess that's the main thing. I don't know how to put it into a sentence, but I want to be able
That's
to
okay.
intentionally take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all that stuff wrapped into
I
one.
think it's
The
great.
main thing is trusting myself. I don't know that I've ever really thought about that as a concept, but I want to be able to
Mm-hmm.
trust that what I put in my body is the right choice. And it's
Yeah.
real quick. One thing about Epic that's really cool is that if you want to learn how to trust yourself, one cool way is eating by the Epic 5 diet,
Mm-hmm.
because my body from top to bottom has changed. And so if my body can change by the things I put in my body, the food,
Mm-hmm.
obviously my mind is changing by the things I put in my head, but the physical thing is the coolest. I see my
Mm-hmm.
body is completely different. My everything, I run, I walk, everything I do is different. And so I think that's where Epic 5 is wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
because it shows you that you can do it. And then everything else
Yes.
is kind of like, well, if I can do that, if I could, eat the right things and it makes me feel better, it changes my whole physiology of my body, well,
Right.
then I can do anything,
Isn't it so cool? I love how, I wish that, growing up we were taught more, and this is not a bash towards like general medicine, but I wish we were taught more about like what is right to eat. Like what can I eat that's going to give me the most nutrients? It's going to keep away the most, toxins. We're not going to include those. I'm going to just enrich my body with nutrients and the things that, I know are good for me. And I think that fits really well too into the big why, because you're thinking, again, I think a lot of people when they go maybe on a diet or doing certain things, they're maybe not as clear on why they're doing it. I think their initial is, I want to lose weight or I want to do this, but
Mhm.
why are those certain foods, like why are they beneficial for you? And I think that we can rope into Dr. B there for a little bit too.
Sure.
And yeah, well, I'll just let you
Sure.
take it.
Well, and I think, one of the reasons that we start out with the big why question is because changing diet is one of the hardest things that anybody's asked to do. It's one
Right.
of those weird things where, I have on, doesn't come across this way, but I have this like blue hued pullover today. It looks a little gray on the screen, at least on my screen. And if somebody could tell me, like, here's some scientific data that that color of that shirt that you have on is making you sick, and here's why it's making you sick, and you're not able to live to your fullest self, and if you just don't wear that color of a shirt, things are going to get better. I can nearly promise you that I would just not wear this color of a shirt again. There might be a day or two where I might say like, well, I really like that shirt, I'm going to try that shirt on, but then if I felt like crap again, I would just not wear the shirt. It wouldn't take me very long to just not wear that color of a shirt. But when it comes to a diet, for some reason, when even though we might know, we might have the scientific data, we might have our laboratory tests, we might have all the knowledge in the world, for some reason, when we're asked to change our diet and modify our diet, it becomes one of the hardest challenges that anybody faces, especially in a, if you'll let me use this, industrialized, modernized Western culture, where we have, just about any food available to you 24/7, just with between Grubhub or going down to the corner market, right? So, I mean, the reality is we have to start with that big why. And we have to dig as deep. This is what I tell our private clients, and I know that you guys know this, but to dig as deeply as you can into why do we want to change that diet in the first place. Here's all the information that we can put together to make it understandable, so that it's easy enough to implement, easy enough to understand the health benefits. But ultimately, if we don't have our big why, that solid foundation as to why we're bothering to do it,
Right.
we're probably not going to do it. So I look back, as to why, we said we were going to cover a couple of things, and I promised I wouldn't monopolize the conversation, but I'm just going to tell my big why story.
Okay.
I'm going
I
to tell my,
want you to go
yeah.
for it. No worries.
Okay, well then it'll be easy then, I'll just keep talking.
Right. And I
I know.
know how to cut you off, so if I need to, I will. Just do your
Perfect.
thing.
Please do. Please do. But I was going to say, why did we develop this in the first place? Well, it started before 2004. I had been in practice for about 5 years at that point, and I had what I would call a holistic, integrative primary care type of practice. It's very different than what we're doing right now, which is just focusing on restoring function, to the body, helping folks be the brightest light that they can be, as Melissa was, speaking about, to help people be their own best selves, but then to be an exemplar for others. That's really what Epic, wants to be helping everybody with. But when I go back to 2004, I was practicing holistic integrated primary care, and even though I at that point, I had 3 doctorate degrees at that point. I was board certified in a couple of areas. I have 4 doctorate degrees now and board certified in 3 areas. And even though I had all this training, my own health was going south. It wasn't that I didn't know what to do. I knew what to do. I was sort of doing it some of the time, right? And I would lean into it at different times. And, for a day or a week, I'd be, eating a certain way. And then pretty soon, all that other stuff would kind of creep back into my diet, all the stuff that everybody else struggles with. People think sometimes that I don't want the slice of pie, but I want the slice of pie. Trust me, I definitely do. My health had gone so far downhill that in 2004, when I would wake up in the morning, my alarm would go off. I was already exhausted. I was literally exhausted. I had nothing left to give anybody, and yet I had a whole day in front of me. I would have to will myself to get out of bed. I would say to myself out loud into the universe, I would say, come on, Bradley, get up. You've got to get up. You've got to go take care of your patients. You've got to go, make the mortgage payment. You've got to get up and do your work. And I would have to will myself, psych myself up to get out of bed. I would struggle down and drink as much coffee as I could in the short window of time that I had between when I woke up and when I was leaving for work. I would just tank up with coffee. My staff knew my coffee order. We had the natural food store, the New Pioneer Co-op, across the street from where the clinic was at that point. And they knew my coffee order, which was the largest coffee that you could get with as many shots of espresso in it as you could get, with more cream than you think that anybody wants in their coffee. That was my coffee order. And they knew exactly how to make it. And I would drink it and I would slam one down, hand it back, see some patients, come back out, slam one down, hand it back, see some patients. And I would do this loop over and over again. I had so much body pain. I could barely move. I had so much brain fog that, quite frankly, in full transparency, I probably shouldn't have been in practice. I didn't realize it at the time. I thought I was getting by, but my brain fog was so high that I was not able to keep things straight. That's when I started keeping notes instead of keeping it in my head, because my head was slipping. It's probably good that I was keeping notes, to be honest. But, I started writing everything down at that point. I would get through my day somehow giving away whatever energy, and it was a caffeine driven, adrenaline driven, fight or flight driven energy until the end of my day. And I would drive home, and this is when I knew I had a problem. It wasn't any of that. I knew I had a problem when I pulled into my driveway one night, and I had a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old daughter inside, and they just wanted their dad to come home and play with them. That's it. It was really simple. Dad had been gone all day. They just wanted their daddy. And I remember sitting in my car thinking I had nothing left to give my family. Nothing, not even a scrap of anything. And I psyched myself up again, and I went inside and I played with the girls, which really was putting their toys away, getting them fed, getting them bathed into their pajamas, reading a book to them, a short book, shortest book possible, out with the lights. So my goal at that point in my life was to get in bed before 8 o'clock, try to have lights out and asleep by 8 p.m. because my alarm was going to go off at 6 a.m. the next day. And I knew it was going to happen again. The exact same day. It was like Groundhog Day, but it never changed. Every single day, 7 days a week. I had nothing for my family. It all came to and I knew I'm a better person than that. I wanted to be, dad of the year. I wanted to be, Captain Fantastic. I don't know if you know that movie, but that's what I had inside of me. But I was a shade of a watered down version of myself at that point. And it was really starting to get in my head a little bit, and I started getting very depressed. I started becoming very anxious about every day. I really was not doing well. Then later that year in 2004, I flew down to San Antonio, and I went to a cardiology conference. I'm not a cardiologist, but I like to keep abreast of what's going on in all the different ologies. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rachel brought me some tea. I super appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm letting other people talk.
Yes, it's okay.
So in 2004, I flew down to San Antonio, went to a cardiology conference, and I was not feeling well at all. And I had some jet lag. The conference started early. This guy sitting next to me, we kind of palled up a little bit. I can't remember his name. I call him Dr. Smith. I can't remember his name. But when lunch rolled around, I told Dr. Smith, I said, hey, I don't feel good. I'm going to walk into the walk-in clinic around the corner, the NIX clinic, and just get checked out. And he said, yeah, man, you don't look good. I'll be praying for you. And I made a joke, and I said, if I don't come back, tell my kids I loved them. Guess what? I didn't come back after lunch. I was nearly stroking out. My blood pressure, I weighed 275 pounds at the time. I should have said that. I'd really let my body go. I wasn't taking care of myself. My blood pressure was so high that I was nearly at stroke level. I was at over 220 over 160. They triaged me very quickly from the walk-in clinic to the hospital section. They were attached to a hospital. I had every test known to man done. They really couldn't figure anything out. I mean, come on, I was 100 plus pounds overweight with high blood pressure and fully stressed and not sleeping and tanking up on caffeine. I don't think it's a hard rationale as to what happened with my blood pressure. But nonetheless, I was not well. And they put me into an MRI. They were doing an MRI in my brain. And I don't know if you've ever been in an MRI, but it's knock, 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 it's just really loud, I don't know if you could hear that, but that's what it sounds like
Yeah.
in the background. Then my dogs are going to bark now.
Yeah,
Um,
they're like,
you,
who's here?
there,
No,
yep, look who's here.
it's
It's just me knocking on the MRI. So I remember laying there in this tomb of an MRI and thinking to myself, I am going to die. I'm going to die right here, right now, inside this MRI. And I won't get to see my kids again. And I had wasted so much time and so much of my life just doing the same habits over and over and over again that weren't getting me anywhere in life, praying that it was going to change. And I I made a pact with God. I'll be honest with you. I made a pact with God at that point, and I said, "Listen, if I can get out of this MRI and I don't die, I'm going to dedicate, first of all, my time to getting me better, whatever that takes. I'm going to make the changes. I get it. I get it. I'm not going to die. I get it. Number two, I'm going to help others do the same." So it was at that moment that I committed finally to myself. That was my big why, because I had been blessed with a ton of knowledge, a couple of awesome kids, and it was going to go to the grave with me and just be a waste. And I just refused to let that happen. So I got out of that MRI. I ended up leaving work. I had a friend that was able to take over the clinic for a few years. I was fortunate enough to take a position at the University of Iowa teaching. And boy, I'll tell you what, I spent my research time really looking into me and autoimmunities and triggers and diets and how much water should we be drinking and what does movement look like and how does stress affect this and what does sleep affect this. And I started putting together the infancies of the Epic 5 plan just to get my 1 foot out of the grave. Honestly, it was very selfish, but I'm so thankful that I was selfish, because I don't know if I would be on this planet anymore if I wouldn't have been that selfish. And from there, bore those seeds, I guess, bore the orchard or the fruits of the labor, which became, the Epic 5 plan as it stands today.
It's really interesting to me how, you know, I know like before you had that moment, even if you hadn't like deeply considered your big why, you were living to try to support your family and you wanted to do the best you could for your kids, but you really like everything changed when you finally, looked inward and you're like, okay, I need to figure out however I can do this. I need to be the best me I can be so that I can, you know, be the best me for my family. And, I think it's made all of the difference, in the world, and you're still here and healthy and happy. And again, I love that, we're talking about empowerment and impact in the community, because EPIC kind of stands for a couple different things. But one of, the meanings of EPIC is empowering the person to impact the community. And, Melissa, that's exactly what you're doing too. Just, you feel good enough and you're inspired, and you just want to share this knowledge with the world, and it's helped you feel so much better already, and you just want people to understand it. So yeah,
And,
I
and
think
I
it's
wanted to say
incredible.
quickly to Melissa too, and then actually let her chat for a minute
Hmm.
on this. But Melissa, you look amazing. When I jumped on here, I this sounds horrible. I always start these sentences and then I'm like, wait a minute, I shouldn't finish this sentence, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. When I jumped on, I didn't recognize you. Not that you looked bad before. That's not what I mean. But you look vibrant. I mean, you look amazing, and you look happy. And I just want to turn it back over to you, because I know you're a lot like you were a lot like I was, which was taking care of everything else and everyone else around me, but not really focusing on me. I'll turn it right over to you.
Yeah. So, and you're still
Oh,
muted, Melissa, by the way. I can unmute, yeah. But yeah, Melissa, if you just want to share, how was that, how important was that transition to you, again, just like refocusing on, you and all you've got. Actually,
Yeah.
oh, there she is.
There we go. It is a lot like you, Dr. Bradley, in the sense where I'll be honest, I was taking, I was diagnosed with ADHD in my 20s after I had my first baby, and I was put on medication and like Adderall and stuff like that. And that stuff really, until you get off of it and don't, well, first of all, it's given to you by a doctor. And so, you feel like, and when you do take that type of thing, it tells your brain, it makes your brain feel like all the things that you were doing wrong before I had a learning disability, that all of it clicked. And I was like, this is the pill. This is the thing that's going to like fix my life. And for 20 years, I thought it did, until it didn't. And what it kind of made me do was go on autopilot, I feel like, for the last 20 years of my life. And it's interesting being on it for exactly 20 years, because my daughter turned 20 when I got off of it. She was born when I got on it. And so just seeing that whole thing, it really, and I wasn't taking it properly. And so a lot of that I could see, I would take it in the morning, and then my body would kind of shut down, but my mind would work, is how I felt it was going. And so I was taking care of everybody else. I knew I was doing what I needed to do, but I was just mindlessly eating. And honestly, I'll be honest, I was like eating, I would go in the morning, get like 6 donuts in the morning, maybe some coffee. And then in the afternoon, after I would get done cleaning some houses and picking the kids up from school, I would stop and grab something else from somewhere else, thinking, hey, guess what? This is like, I deserve it, right? I mean, I drove the kids around, took them to school. I deserve something tasty. Let me stop by and grab this. Well, and little did I know, after I quit taking the medication, my body hurt so bad. I felt so awful. I felt very, I don't know how to say it, but like full of something, like maybe water retention, or just like very, touch my skin. It felt very hard, kind of, not like it should. I guess just all that kind of just going on autopilot is what I felt like when I stopped taking it. I felt very tired, of course, because you take that, your brain's on it. And I was taking care of everybody else, not myself, clearly. And then when I stopped taking it, it was hard to come back, but I didn't have those dips in the day where sometimes when I didn't have my medication, I just wouldn't do anything that day. Well, I don't have my meds, so I can't perform. I can't be a person. I can't go out in the world. I can't do anything. Well, now I know. I haven't had them in a couple of months now, and I'm fine. Your life is what you make it, and you don't need a pill. And kind of, I joke with Dan, I tell him, the pill now for me is that I take is getting up in the morning and giving me that time to be mindful. Absolutely. And taking the time so I go for a walk, I journal, I look at my goals, I see where I'm at. I'm doing a little bit of Joe Dispenza stuff, so I'm like listening to his meditations in the morning at night, and that's really helping. But putting myself first in the morning, I can still take care of everybody else. Actually, I can do it with ease. It's super easy now. Whereas before it was kind of like, well, when that pill runs out, I run out. Now I don't ever run out, because I can start myself in the morning with that. And it is the water too. I mean, you got to drink lots of water. I mean, I wasn't drinking pop and all that stuff before. I was only drinking water, but clearly not enough. And that's the thing. I don't like soda. Unfortunately, fortunately, I didn't have that issue with needing to quit all those drinks and things.
Right.
But I wasn't drinking enough more water. So it doesn't matter if you're drinking water, if you're not drinking enough. So basically, I was taking care of everybody else, same as you, Dr. Bradley, not taking care of myself, but thinking a pill was taking care of me.
Right.
And nothing is that simple. You can make things simple. Like we've made Epic 5 simple, right? But nothing is as simple as taking a pill. And I remember one thing I heard a long time ago about Oprah. I mean, if you could just take a pill, she has all the money in the world. If she could just take a pill to lose weight, she would have done it. Absolutely. It's so true. And so I feel like it takes a little bit of work every day.
Yeah.
And just the whole, like, putting yourself first. Dr.
Absolutely.
Bradley, it's so
absolutely.
hard to do, especially
it is
the way we were raised, the conditioning, the programming, all that stuff, right?
Right.
Really comes into play. And you can't just say, oh, I'm gonna start eating healthy one day. I mean, you can, but
you've got to,
the pill, the taking the medication. So I guess the new medication for me, the prescription for me, is giving myself an hour in the morning, an hour and a half hour, at least sometime in the morning, to set my day, to set my intentions. No matter if it's Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, whatever day it is, every day. And that's just like getting up and taking my medication. Well, I didn't think I could leave the house without my medication. I didn't think I could perform or go to work or I used to work in a cubicle and a call center. And it was very hard, very, very hard. And I didn't think I could do it if I didn't have that medication. And guess what? I called in sick some days when I was out of my medication, because I didn't think I could do it. And yes, I get up early and I do all my things, and I feel like that's the replacement for my medication. But also, I don't say, well, if I don't get up early today and I don't do this stuff, I can't go out and be a normal person in the world like I
Right.
used to do with my medication.
Right.
Yeah, if I don't get up early and take care of myself that morning, I will still have a good day because guess what I
Right.
did yesterday? I did the day before, and I will be
Yeah.
my own watcher throughout the day and make sure that I
Yeah.
try to, and not try, I
Mhm.
will make sure that throughout the day I watch myself and I,
Right.
hey, do you really want to eat? How's that going to make you feel if you eat that? Just
Right.
different throughout the day. And
It's
it's
I
not a
incredible.
one and done thing. It's not you take the pill and your day is perfect.
Right.
Not it.
Yep.
It's interesting because that's what I did think for 20 years. And so, and the way my body
It's
feels, my
tough.
mind feels off of the medication, which I thought was making my life great. Yeah, it's all what you put your power into, right?
Yeah.
I gave my power away to that medication, really.
It's
But now
easy
Yeah.
to
I'm putting
do.
power
I mean, I like this quote by Fred Bard, Dr. Fred Bard, who's unfortunately passed away, but he was a character and a half. But he would say, "A pill to sleep, a pill to wake, a pill for every body ache." And
Right.
I think that's the way that we've all been taught that, right?
Conditioned.
I mean,
Yep.
we live in pharmaceutical culture where 5% of the
Yep.
world's population here in America consumes 85% of the world's pharmaceuticals. And the reality is, it's a staggering statistic. And
Yep.
the reality is, if it was better life, better health, better happiness through pharmaceuticals, we would be the
Right.
happiest and healthiest nation on the planet instead of
We
the
are not.
37th. Yeah, instead of the
Yeah.
37th. And in fact, we're the last, in the very last of all industrialized, westernized, modernized nations. I don't even know what any of those words mean exactly, but
Tough.
yeah, whatever those words mean, we're the worst of all of them. The most expensive healthcare with the least uh, the worst outcomes. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
Natalie, I want to
It's
turn it back over to you
crazy.
because we chatted a lot about that, and I took over a little
Yeah.
bit. But yeah, I'll turn it right
No,
back to
that's
you.
all right. I think it's again, it's just I think it's really important and yeah, I love hearing the different perspectives and I know it can be really hard to make that switch to prioritize yourself and you guys have done that and it's a process and like you said I love how you talked Melissa about how that hour in the morning is that's like your drug if you will but that's I love that it you know gives you a good mindset to start the day and it just gives you more control throughout your day and I love the mindfulness throughout the day with reflecting on your goals and where you're at and how you're feeling and how, what you're doing is, leading you closer and closer to the best version of yourself. Go ahead, Dr. B.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I think that's called the power hour. I am there with you, Melissa.
Mm,
I,
like
in
that.
fact, now that I'm into it, I want more of it. Talk about a drug and craving a drug.
Yeah.
I can't get up early enough to have more time. That's I don't want to say unstructured. I have structure to my unstructured time, which is really strange. I know. But one of the things that I do also, and you mentioned it with the hydration, for very first thing that I do when I wake up is I drink a liter of water. It's the very first thing that I do because I know I'm dehydrated from laying there all night. And it's even on those days where I don't wake up feeling 100%, when I drink that water, I within 15 minutes, I already feel so much remarkably better.
mm,
But
yeah,
Nat, I know you had
it's
some other things you
amazing.
wanted to cover.
Let's do it.
You wanted to
Yeah,
cover today.
that's okay. And honestly, we're we're all pretty good with the flow, so I know we'll cover what we need to. But I'm going to share my screen just to show the Epic 5 shopping list, if my computer will allow me to do so. And I know Dr. B, yeah, you had mentioned,
Oh yeah.
in the creation of this, you had done a lot of research, especially, considering with, autoimmunities and certain things like that. And, I just wanted to think or chat a little bit about, maybe why we include what we do and why maybe why we don't include certain things like
Sure.
why we limit our sugars, why
Sure.
potentially we don't have to get too deep into the lectin part of it, but why some vegetables maybe could be limited or prepared in a way to make them more tolerable for our body, if that makes sense. So you
Mm-hmm.
can take it where you're inspired here, sir.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, I was inspired by when I first started doing my research, I was inspired by Michael Pollan, right? I mean, in Omnivore's Dilemma, where he said, the perfect diet is, eat real food, mean, first and foremost, eat real food. So if we look at what's on the plate here, so to speak, or the screen, um, it's real food. You know, it's not box can, wrap package, processed, or what otherwise manipulated by man, right? It's real food. So I've decided to use real food instead of whole food, because when I try to type whole food into a post or into, you know, something on my phone, autocorrect always makes it Whole Foods, like the company, you know. But you know, real food, mostly vegetables. So you'll notice that when we look through, you know, the Epic 5 plan, the bulk of it is mostly vegetables, and then not too much, right? So when we look at the Epic 5 plan, at first I really thought it was, I don't know how to say this, but basically the same as AIP, which it's very similar to AIP, and it's compatible with AIP, but it's stripped back a little bit. You know, I've had the good fortune of practicing with Dr. Terry Walls at Epic Functional Medicine for a couple of years. And Nat, I can't remember if you were with us when she was with us.
A little bit, yeah. I
Yeah,
saw her in passing a couple
yeah,
times.
just a little
Felt
bit,
like a
right?
little fangirl. Yep, yep. It was good.
And guys, I'm sorry if you can hear my all my little buzzers going off, but I apologize. But
You're
you know,
good.
of course, I've been working with or following Terry and working with Terry and discussing this with Terry since we're good friends. You know, for years ad infinitum, right? And I would say that she had a heavy influence on me as far as the vegetable loading and the types of vegetables.
Mhm.
And you know, so when I look at that list, you know, the first thing that we hit are you know, green leafy vegetables and
Yep.
cruciferous vegetables. There's a couple of reasons for that. Fiber comes to mind. You know, coming from a background, you know, pre-medicine, I was in anthropology, and you know, in anthropology, we like to talk about things like the archaeological records and what can we know about different cultures, prehistoric cultures. So we look a lot at things like poop, which is always fun,
Love
and
that.
fecal matter, you know, preserved fecal matter. And we can look at the fiber content, you know, in the feces. Then we can compare that to, there are still some indigenous tribal cultures still in the, not in the United States, in the world, not in the United States, but in the world, where we can study an approximation of a more primitive way of life. And what we found is that the historical record from the archaeology, but then also looking at these indigenous tribes that are from around the world, is that they're getting 50 to even up to 100 grams of fiber a day. I'll say that number again. 50 to 100 grams of fiber a day. So when we start talking about, you know, the paleo lifestyle and everybody wants to eat meat and just eat meat, man, you know what's not in meat is fiber. And these cultures are eating a lot of fiber. You know, I doubt that they had any issues with GI problems other than maybe an infection, you know, here and there. But I mean, they were eating a lot of fiber and actually quite regular as far as that goes. The other thing is when we start looking at the nutrient density of certain foods, green leafy vegetables and cruciferous vegetables are very rich in minerals. And you know, when we look at folks that have done research into chronic illness, what we know is that a deficiency in minerals is definitely related, directly related to a deficiency. Did I say chronic illness? Chronic illness is directly related to a deficiency in minerals. I don't know what I was
There
going
you
to say there,
go.
but
That's
thanks.
good.
I think I got my point across.
Yep.
So again, a diet dense or rich in green leafy vegetables and cruciferous vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables are also very high in glutathione. We know that the folks that live the longest and the healthiest on the planet have high amounts of glutathione in their bodies. You know, the lab testing that we do, as Natalie, as you know, and Melissa, I'm sure that you've picked up on, we check glutathione with our patients, and you know, almost everybody we check out of the gate, they're low in glutathione. You know, even when we've been supplementing, they kind of sort of start to get into optimum levels. And that takes months, even with supplementation and a proper diet, because we're so deficient. Glutathione is necessary for detoxification, methylation, brain function, heart function, liver function, kidney function. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, you know, glutathione is arguably one of, if not the most important nutrient in the body, and it's found mostly in cruciferous vegetables, you know, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kale, arugula, different types of greens, radishes. I mean, there's a number of cruciferous vegetables there. Those same vegetables are also high in some chemicals called diindolylmethane or indole 3-carbinol, DIM and I3C. Those help balance our hormones. So again, we have all these, not just women, but mostly women that talk about it, these hormonal imbalances. I was going to say we have all these women that have hormonal imbalances, but men have them too. And the reality is that if we eat more cruciferous vegetables, even without medications, even without different types of enzymatic inhibitors, we can start to see a balance in hormones. In fact, speaking of men, I was looking at a man's labs today, and he jumped up 125% in his testosterone levels, and we aren't even giving him testosterone or any type of hormonal intervention. It literally is a dietary intervention with minimum supplementation, which is pretty cool, to see. And we see that all of the time. So again, that's why we chose those. Then we throw in some colorful vegetables. Why do we have those colorful vegetables on there? Well, for a while I had a book idea in my head that was called Eat a Rainbow. And the cover was just going to be a rainbow with, fruit with vegetables down here, different colored vegetables, and a bite taken out of it. And I thought that the bite could be taken out by a unicorn. Why not? Right. But I like this idea of Eat a Rainbow because those different colors are represented with different nutrients. That purple color is resveratrol. I mean, there's other nutrients too, but resveratrol comes to mind. Resveratrol is famous for, being in red wine or in grape juice, right? We know that it's good for the heart. We know that it's good for the brain. We know that it's good for detoxification. We have different lycopenes and xanthins that are found in the orange and red and yellow colored vegetables. And I could go on and on with the chemistry, but the point that I'm making is that the different colors represent different nutrients. And so when we eat that rainbow, we're doing well. Why are some things missing from this list, right? Things that are technically fruits, but I think we think of them as vegetables, like peppers, right? That comes to mind. Red peppers, green peppers, yellow peppers, orange peppers. The problem with peppers and some of the other foods that are on the list, certain nuts and et cetera, is that and all grains, 100% of all grains, they're going to be high in lectins. And lectins are plant poisons. Natalie, pop quiz, Melissa, you can jump in too. Do you guys know the most famous lectin that we all hear about all the time?
Whoa. Well, I'm blanking.
Awesome, that's good. You should. It's when I tell you, you'll never forget it. Melissa, do you know by chance? Okay, it's gluten.
So, okay. I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure if that was the question you were asking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
It is the question, right? So we all emphasize gluten-free, 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 but we got to remember that gluten is one of about 3,000 different types of lectins. And lectins, again, are plant poisons. All plants produce lectins. Some lectins are poisonous to humans, right? So when we come to, eggplants, potatoes, peppers, right? That little food group there. I think I left one out. I'd have to look at my list, but we call those the nightshades, right? And nightshades are considered poisonous because they're really high in lectins. So as an example of one thing that's a little different on our list that might not be on other lists, is that we modify the way that we consume certain foods, like peppers again. The colorful foods are good, but we don't want to eat plant poisons along the way that can make, especially if you have autoimmunity, and a lot of my clients do, we want to stay away from those plant poisons because it can trigger or stimulate an autoimmune. We always hear about these cytokine storms, right? But that's when you eat certain foods and then your whole body hurts, or worse, it can get a whole lot worse. It can be deadly. That's why they're called the deadly nightshades. So what we do with those foods is basically get the skin off of those foods and make sure that the seeds are gone. So we're just left with the meat of the food itself, right? So the meaty part of those peppers, totally fine. But the skin and the seeds, not so much, right? So on that shopping list, if I'm correct, we have little asterisks next to certain things that say, hey, these need to be prepared in a specific way. So that's the way that we prepare those. Grains are not on that list because you mentioned, I mean, they're technically a vegetable, right? I mean, technically there's some kind of plant matter. But grains aren't on that list because not only are they high in lectins, but they're going to be high in sugars. No matter how we look at it, grains are high in sugars. Most Americans, if anything, have too much sugar in their diet. Most grains are high in what we call omega-6 fats, which are inflammatory fats. or fatty acids. I shouldn't say fats, but fatty acids. So grains are inflammatory. They induce insulin responses, which again is inflammatory to the body and leads to cardiovascular
Mm-hmm.
disease. I just had Dr. Jack Wolfson on the podcast last week,
Mm-hmm.
the paleo cardiologist, and we discussed, how the American Heart Association, the American Medical Association, has misled Americans misled the world to believe that we need more grains, when the reality is we need no grains. Our body doesn't require any grains; they're just filler. Why the heck would we be promoting grains? Because the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, their job is not to tell us what's healthy to eat. Their job is to sell American agriculture. And what do we have in America? We have grains. So what do we want to eat? We want to eat grains. It's that simple. It has nothing to do with health, has everything to do with consuming what we grow here. And I think that we need to understand that that's the way that works. I'm not trying to be all conspiracy theoried here.
No, it's a good
That's
point.
just the way that it works. That's
Right.
why our diet is so drastically different than what's out
Mm-hmm.
there. But I think I covered a
And
lot of the vegetables there.
yeah, no, that's perfect. And just kind of building off what you said too about how, most Americans are, generally getting too much sugar in every day. And that's why, within our berries here, we really only, list berries within our shopping list, and primarily blackberries, raspberries, and strawberries. And again, similar to the vegetables, we know that these are, some of the most nutrient dense options out there. And again, especially these top three are the lowest in sugars. And so, yeah, we're just getting, again, maximizing the good
Right.
stuff and trying our best to minimize that not so good
Right.
stuff.
And then lowering the bad stuff. But I was going to say, as far as nutrient density goes, berries with seeds on the outside, so things like strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, again, are also high in dinylomethane and indole 3-carbinol, again, hormone balancing. And that's just something to just keep considering. The lists this shopping list was thought out not just from a nutrient density as far as like vitamins and minerals, but really what is beneficial to hormone balance, what is beneficial to neurochemistry, what is beneficial to digestion, and feeding the probiotic, the good bacteria in the gut and in the rest of our
Right.
system, the nutrients that they need to keep populating our bodies. So yeah,
Right.
I would
Yeah, and
say
just
that
a
fruits,
little. Oh,
fruits,
go ahead.
we also do say, under the acids, lemon juice, lime juice, because again, very low in sugar. And at the same time, that acid stimulates digestion, right? So apple cider vinegar is another choice there too, vinegars in general. But
Yeah.
at that note though, looking at nutrient density and then function. So the shopping list was really built around nutrient density, balancing the body chemistry, and increasing function in the body. Unlike some of the other lists that are out there, like I said, we're very close to AIP, but we're a little bit different. We're similar to Walls, but a little bit different.
Mhm.
We're similar to Whole30, but a little bit different. And I'm really, I always say, when people ask me ultimately, how did you make this, Dr. Bradley? Show me your research. I'll tell you what the research was. The research was me reading every single diet book that you could imagine, having private meetings with, like I said, Dr. Walls or Stephen Gundry from Plant Paradox, or, Jason Fung, or, all of these marvelous, marvelous, marvelous people that are out there that are putting some good work into the world. And taking what I would say is the best of their science and the best of their diets, and then cramming that all together into a new diet, which is where the Epic 5 diet came from.
Woohoo! We'd love to see it. Yeah, it's exciting. And again, there's, yeah, definitely a lot of pieces here, but I'm proud of you, Dr. B, for working so hard, and thankful that, yeah, it's incredible. And Melissa, yeah, did you have a little
Oh,
note there?
good.
You can
Oh,
unmute yourself there, Melissa. There we go.
Let me go back to where I was. Where's my Zoom? Sorry, just one sec.
I'm sure
There we
you're
go.
good.
One other thing I just think is interesting, when you're talking about the foods and like the berries and what the nutrients it has in it, and it gives us the vitamins and the nutrients. One thing with this whole epic journey, that I've found with myself is really truly, and this seems kind of cliche, but we all have everything that we need within us to take care of us. That is true. And just like the berry has the nutrients and all that stuff, and just like the sugar or the carbs don't. You know, we really truly do have everything that we need inside of us, like mentally, physically, and it's all about putting the right things in. So it's, if we really do slow down, and this is where mindfulness comes in, I think, and just be quiet and listen, our gut is going to tell us what it needs. And it's
Absolutely.
not that candy bar. It's not that. So yeah, when I'm listening to you guys today, I'm thinking about slowing down is kind of sort of the key.
Yeah,
If you have all this
I
information about
completely
Epic
agree.
already, right? If you
Mhm.
slow down, it is the key to making the right decision, and all the right
Right.
decisions are in the Epic 5. And also one other thing, side note, I love sugar, I love candy bars and all that stuff, but really one thing I found is it's all about seasoning, how you season your food
Absolutely.
and how you make the
Mhm.
good flavor. Like sweet potatoes, I'm making some really good sweet potato. I love sweet potatoes. It really is about how the seasoning that you put to it. It's kind of like,
Right.
spice of life for the
Yep,
mental part, right?
exactly. Yeah, you
And
gotta
kind of what,
zhuzh it up a little bit.
yeah,
Keep it
exactly.
interesting. It
How do you
keeps you
spell zhuzh?
inspired.
Yeah.
I
It's
just,
just, to me, I think the biggest thing is we all do have everything inside of ourselves.
I love
It's
that.
just the stuff outside that the
Mhm.
choices that we make. And if we do
Absolutely.
slow
Right.
down, we can make the right choices. And we have
Yeah.
all the
And
tools.
Melissa, to speak to that too, I wrote some class the other month, I should say, and I was looking at, what is our body made out of, right? Just a real basic question, because I heard what you said and I fully agree. We have everything we need, right now, whether it be the wisdom that we need.
Mhm.
I heard a great prayer the other day. God, please give me the wisdom that I don't know that I need. And I was like, oh man, that is mind blowing. But at any rate, our body is just made out of six things. It is proteins, so amino acids, right? Fats, essential fats, carbs or starch structures, vitamins, minerals, and water. That's it. That's everything from our hair to our big toe and our skin, our organs, all the biochemical pathways and all the hormones and neurotransmitters and everything that, our mitochondria and producing energy, which we call ATP, adenosine triphosphate. I mean, all of it is proteins, fats, starchy structures, vitamins, minerals, and water. And that's it. Six things.
Love it.
And anything else that we're putting in our body, anything at all, is probably not healthy, right? But the other thing I wanted to say is, if we're not replenishing our body and nourishing our body with, I'll say it one more time, protein, fats, starchy structures. I don't like to say carbs because people get confused. Vitamins, minerals, and water. If we're not replenishing that consciously, which probably does mean slowing down and taking a look at it and having a guide to follow, which we have right here,
Right.
with that guide. If we're not doing that, then our body will be deficient. Nat, I don't know, and Melissa, I'm not sure that you guys were on this class, but
Mhm.
I had a question, and the question was, out of the people that were studied, and which was thousands of people, what percent do you guys think were deficient in at least one of those six, if we call those the six elements?
Mhm.
Again, proteins, fats, starchy structures, vitamins, minerals, and water. What percent of the population was deficient in at least one major area?
100.
All of them.
It was 99. Yeah, it was 99%, right? So if we take the general population and we say, are they healthy or not? The answer is no. They're actually not a healthy population.
Right.
But when we look at the EPIC 5 diet structure, we're at least starting to rebuild the proteins, the fats, the starches that we need, the vitamins, the minerals, and of course, there's an emphasis on hydration.
Yeah.
So perfect.
Incredible. I think it's, and yeah, we're coming close to the end here, but it's interesting to me to think about, especially in this past year, people have been uh just in general more open-minded and interested in, natural ways of supporting our body. And it's interesting to think about the kind of potential paradigm shift that's going on within just not just the medical field, but specifically with nutrition. And people are genuinely curious about, it was really interesting to me how last year people learned finally how to properly wash their hands, and people learned like two easy supplements that are going to support your immune system. And then they're like, oh yeah, eat some whole, real foods and that'll help too. And I'm like, all right, better late than never, but
Right.
I mean, it's
It
it's getting
it only
people
took a
thinking about it.
pandemic, Natalie. It only took a worldwide pandemic for us to realize that we need to take better care of ourselves.
If
And
only,
it's
but
still
again,
considered controversial to say that. That's the
yeah.
irony. I'm still poking the bear when I say that. hey, if we
Thank
really
you.
want to end the pandemic, here's what we can do. Take better care of ourselves,
Yep.
boy.
What can you do? But yeah,
Yeah.
to kind of close up today, we I was potentially going to open up kind of the green smoothie document, which honestly I can just share it real quick for those that are curious. And really it's nothing, nothing too special. Kind of the also one second, sorry, tabs. Um One of the biggest, things with the green smoothie, it's not, when people hear it maybe initially, it's not like a detox drink. It's literally just a convenient way for you to get multiple servings of vegetables plus, potentially some acids in there. We can, kind of add in potentially uh proteins or fats, within there too. But if you're looking for, an easy way to get in multiple servings of veggies, you can this is our nuts and bolts recipe.
Mm.
But yeah, it could be a really simple way to just start getting some more nutrients in. And with this parsley and cilantro too, these two specifically are included because they are chelators, and chelators are I believe chelate is a Greek word for claw. So basically, chelators are going to go into our body. They're going to latch onto those heavy metal toxins and excrete them in our urine. So by including those in our green smoothie, ideally, every day or however often, it's not only going to help you get rid of the toxins that are already there, but it's going to mitigate future buildup of toxins as well. So
Natalie,
that's
I'm
just
totally impressed with that, by the way. I didn't even know that. And I'm a word guy. Uh, so
Are
thank
you
you for
fact
that.
checking me on it? It is
I
Greek, I believe.
I'm looking it up. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I learned. Thanks, Dan. I don't
Yeah.
know if he's watching
Kay,
this. Dan, thanks.
Kaylee, meaning claw. Good job.
Oh,
I'm
there you
I'm
go.
I'm
Kaylee.
super impressed. That's
Boom,
awesome.
boom. Yes. And again, there's nothing too, too crazy about this, but I thought I'd share it. And also, if you guys have made it this far in the recording and, joined us live, of course, I'm going to be posting right after this um, just a little post to increase some engagement there. And basically today I'll be asking that, um, if you share a
Mm.
picture of something that represents your big why, then that'll give you a raffle entry into our, raffle this week. But also, if you post, whether it's a picture of something that represents your big why or just a text something that explains your big why, we'll DM you these documents that we looked at today. So if you want the
Cool.
downloadable, shopping list and green smoothie guide, again, just comment on that post that'll be up here in about 5 minutes, and we'll DM that over to you. So just a little heads up there.
That's awesome. That's
But
really
yeah,
cool.
Dr. B, and Melissa too, any kind of final words of advice? And Melissa, thank you again so much for joining us and
Thank you.
just your input and expertise. It's just nice to,
I
hear, part of your journey. So
Thank
thank
I'd
you.
like to ask Melissa if you had one
Do it.
piece of parting advice for anybody
Mm,
that's watching that maybe is thinking about doing our program but doesn't really know if it's right for them. What would you say?
Uh, do it. It was the best thing for me, putting myself first. This is the biggest thing I've ever done for myself, the biggest gift I've ever given myself, ever. So yeah, I mean, it was worth the investment.
Awesome.
Yeah,
thank
I
Cool.
mean,
you.
it's all self-love, man. You got to put
Beautiful.
yourself first, or you can't do anything else in life. It's so true.
Right.
It's
Such a better mom, such a better person, better everything now
I
that
love it.
I put myself and my health first. So
it's
there's,
super
Again.
true.
And
yeah, we can
Dr.
invest, like,
B, oh yeah.
we can invest $100 here for a maybe new hair thing, or
Mm-hmm.
$100 here for this, $100 for that. Why not just put it all, I'm just saying we can buy lots of
Yep.
cool things, but this is
Yep.
pretty cool. I
You're
mean, this is
definitely speaking.
life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Bradley talks about that a lot, and it's, it is a priority to, yeah, I know money's a big deal and can be a stressor, but it really is, it's an investment, and it's definitely going to save you, money in the long term. We're giving you the knowledge and the tools
Yes.
to
Yeah.
to
Oh yeah.
build the best personalized plan for you and your body, and you get to take that knowledge with you for the rest of
Forever.
your life and
Yeah.
Yeah, just like
hopefully
you talk about investing
inspire
your
others
time,
too.
investing your money and investing your time. It really is investing in you.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yep. I love
Cool.
it. Well,
Awesome.
thanks again, everyone. And we'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Dan Tribally, our other health coach, is going to join us. We're going to be talking about the wheel of beliefs. So, talking about, beliefs, thoughts, feelings, actions. How do all those, interact with each other? And yeah,
Hmm,
so thanks everyone
I
that
love
has
it.
joined us today. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
Thanks,
all.
Melissa.
You
Thanks,
guys.
Nat. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.